Ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing much action from South Africa, which happens to be the biggest country in Africa. Yes, sir. And also the United States of America, where we're seeing Donald Trump, the biggest president in the world, according to whatever standards, just generally speaking, that which is what it is. So we see Ramaphosa continuing to speak concerning the G20, ladies and gentlemen, as we are witnessing history unraveling right about now, 5 December 2025, where we are, ladies and gentlemen. And where do we begin? We begin where we begin.
Save for what's happening in the DRC and what's been happening in the northern part of Mozambique. But SADC itself has been involved, has been trying to find solutions. And we will continue to find solutions because we engage. We ensure that the institution of SADC does get to impose its own values, its own traditions.
All right,
Save for what's happening in the DRC.
Mr. Ramaphosa may as well wait.
Save for what's happening in the DRC.
I have to acknowledge the fools at my next door. Like they've got my attention. I have to acknowledge them. That's what they exist to be doing, ladies and gentlemen. And then we do continue what we're doing. It's a warning to them.
Save for what's happening in the DRC and what's been happening in the northern part of Mozambique. But SADC itself has been involved, has been trying to find solutions. And we will continue to find solutions because we engage. We ensure that the institution of SADC does get to impose its own values, its own traditions in the solution of problems. The United States has said that South Africa will not be invited. We have not seen that.
Values and traditions. And we're seeing Cyril Ramaphosa is speaking, identifying himself as SADC. What it means to be SADC. Ladies and gentlemen, what does it mean to be SADC? What is how do we trade with each other? Be it trading as in any transaction, be it financial, social, political, and whichever, PayPal, whatever circumstance. He talks of traditions and values. In other words, what he's saying, I'm going to rewind it so we can see what he's saying. What he has said as he's speaking right now, he's thinking of what to say. He's saying we're learning from America.
Save for what's happening in the DRC and what's been happening in the northern part of Mozambique. But SADC itself has been involved, has been trying to find solutions.
That is an acknowledgement of the historic and heroic deed by Donald Trump. We will see he invites the leaders there around the DRC area. It's a land which has never seen freedom from the days of King George VI, ladies and gentlemen, and King George. From colonialism in Africa, we got bullies and hooligans basically in control of anything that would be what I can now say. Anything that is not protected is vulnerable.
And we will continue to find solutions because we engage. We ensure that the institution of SADC gets to impose its own values, its own traditions in the solution of problems. The United States has said that South Africa will not be invited. We have not seen that in writing yet. We've just heard.
Yeah. So Donald Ramaphosa, they're on speaking on Cyril Trump. He's just showing him I'm not dumb. I'm brilliant. I'm brilliant. You cannot bargain me like that, okay? So this is an actual fight we're seeing between leaders. How they handle themselves and what they're doing, what they're actually doing. They're not pretending to be doing what they're not doing. They're not mentoring each other in the process. They understand why they do that and why they do this. What is at stake there? So, in terms of South Africa, I'm not saying Trump wants them to stop stealing farms from whites, or maybe giving people their own tribal lands, depending on the history. I'm not saying that. But whatever happens is to avoid a Zimbabwe situation, a land reform situation, is to avoid that. So if they're saying no, we have our own friends there, we're farming there, can we be having a Zimbabwe situation? And if we're gonna continue with this one, we're gonna sanction your nation. How would an ordinary South African respond to this? Because politicians usually speak on behalf of the people, but everybody, we are seeing an actual leader who doesn't need the politics as a career, is a person who gets into power at a critical time. Where in America, we see the left, they were going too far. We see Kamala Harris is trying her chances and things like that. And enter Donald Trump. 5 December 2025, where we are right now. Now it's 10:55 a.m. I should have made with this broadcaster 6 hours ago at 5 a.m. So I'm just watching what happens from a lifetime of being targeted by the fools next door. Like the actual murderers. Like no joker. Yes. I still cannot put it to full understanding as you know. So these are the murderers. Me, I'm not a murderer. I would murder anytime. I don't murder pawns. I would have to deal with them, all of them, anytime. But I'm just thinking, it's not so subtle as you go eat. And yes, they would murder. Definitely. I'm not here for that. No, we're not dealing with that. Personally, I'm not dealing with that. I'm dealing with the people who are humane as we move forward, fellow Zimbabweans, fellow Africans, wherever we are watching from. The evil, they'll always be there. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. We are here to be here. Not to be praying. To do the work that we're supposed to be doing. We are the hands of God. We are the mouth of God. Whoever that God is. At least as we have nations and politics, we know roles of even priests, roles of the church, of the courts. So we're not here for a discussion of a far left going too far left. Who's trying to bring not ethics No. Nothings. Funny tricks. Yes, we're in a third world nation. Imagine the type of evil that is perpetrated in a third world nation, how petty it is. How petty it is. We just need to open our eyes and witness the passage of time in these times where we are right now. We are in a trance. We haven't arrived here. We haven't arrived where we are to arrive in terms of the physical environment.
Media publications, we are yet to receive it in writing, and we will deal with that when it comes. We are, as South Africa, a fully fledged member of the G20, and we have held a very successful G20, and this is not only being said by us, it is said by many other people.
After this video, I'll look into the G20. I don't even know what the G20 is about. So I'll be looking into that. It sounds interesting, the G20. Ramaphosa makes it sound interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
In writing, and we will deal with that when it comes. We are, as South Africa, a fully fledged member of the G20, and we have held a very successful.
He's saying, whatever they say, I don't have to mention this as well. Because anybody, whoever you are, what you are what you are, and you know who you are. Nobody can dictate. They may think that they can or try to.
G20, and this is not only being said by us, it is said by many other people around the world, and saying that South Africa's presidency of the G20 was a very successful G20 process, and the declaration that was adopted is also a forward-looking declaration, which will help to lead to many changes around the issues that.
In association with the United States of America, just handing over to the United States of America, it's something. What's happening?
Identify. So as South Africa, we can know for ourselves as a country that we held a successful G20. What happens going forward are matters that we will deal.
Does it give you sleepless nights, Mr. President, that the conduct of the president?
No, I don't.
Does it give you sleepless nights, Mr. President? I saw that's I can call it an archetype in Africa. Like the guy is a reporter there. The question they're asking, it's not a rhetoric question. He is asking his question, which has no meaning. He's asking Ramaphosa a question that is according to whatever he's perceiving in his head. We'll compare with the CNN.
Nights. And all we want really as South Africa is to be treated as an equal sovereign country, a country that respects other countries.
Let me rewind there. We see he has an added smile. So some of the things that happens in terms of people who are in certain jobs, their paradigm, their mindset. Maybe I can say maybe there are journalists who's excited about him in interviewing or asking whatever he's doing, what it's called a president. No, just the type of language he uses.
Adopted is also a forward-looking declaration, which will help to lead to many changes on the issues that we identify. So as South Africa, we can know for ourselves as a country that we held a successful G20. What happens going forward are matters that we will deal with.
Does it give you sleepless nights, Mr. President, that the conduct of the U.S. President?
No, I don't have.
Does it give you sleepless nights the conduct of the United States? So the conduct of the United States President, of course, we may know what the conduct is. Doesn't it give you sleepless nights? Everything they've been talking about is coming from there. So basically, it's nothing, or begin again to find out. Like it's now becoming a documentaries.
And all we want, really, as South Africa.
All we want is more like saying the same thing again. The leaders who do that behavior I'm seeing from Cyril Ramaphosa. Personally, as an African, I'm surprised that our African leaders are at least that enlightened. I have my perception of and I hope I'm wrong.
Africa is to be treated as an equal sovereign country, a country that respects other countries, a country that fosters the success and prosperity of other countries.
Fosters.
Who we are. We wish no country ill in the world, and in fact,
that is who we are. That is very true there. That is who we are. South Africa, it being South Africa, the culture of the people of South Africa, it's first world type of culture. Of course, we have few here and there, depending on their backgrounds, where they come from, who cause problems here and there, or those who have come from Zimbabwe, who cause problems in South Africa. I'm Zimbabwean, I can speak on that. It's not a fabricated chain of a story. It's a few imbeciles. Just like a few imbeciles can come from any country and go to any other nation, maybe from India or whatever, to any other nation, or from South Africa to Zimbabwe. In the case of Zimbabweans in South Africa, the perpetration is so damaging. Like cheap perpetrators, they massacre.
The country, we don't have enemies, we just have friends, and we want to advance the friends.
We don't have enemies, we only have friends. That's a powerful. People who are not your friends are not your enemies, but they are not your friends. They don't exist unto you. In a relationship, a person is who they are to you. So some people now, they themselves, in their being, they may have a not active perception that they have to approve everything about something else or someone else, or feel entitled to not liking another person. Like it's so stupid and so silly. If a person doesn't like another person, they say, I don't like that person, I don't like the way they dress. It's not innocent, it's all. When one can utter a statement like on somebody else's dressing, I don't like it, that I don't like it. The moment they were able to do that, it means they are already at that state. And it will take repentance as in desisting from that behavior.
Relationships with all countries in the world. And that is our stance. And we will never be derogatory against any country, any leader in the world. We will always treat every country with due regard and with respect and with great consideration. That's who we are, and
we will never be derogatory. We will never reduce or undermine a nation as is. Derogatory does not mean so-called vulgar language. I use a lot of vulgar language here deliberately because it is a non-issue. It is a non-issue that can take attention away from any subject in terms of the sense of anything that will be talked about. He is considerate in all that. He is very happy and in good spirits there, acknowledging what happens. TRC, Goma area, Rwanda, and also the deals involving the United States of America and William Ruto.
That is very much a part of our policy.
The NGC starting on Monday, Mr. President?
Yes, the NGC starting. I hope you will be there.
Will you be mobilizing any countries to boycott the G20 in Miami?
No, we don't need to mobilize it. We're not wired that way as South Africa. Every country.
So the issue of South Africa now boycotting the G20 summit is one of the biggest conspiracies or controversies that is most talked about by the common generals in this story, reading this news or talking about these developments. Like when people look for information and news, they concern the general people, the general consensus. It is that one which we asks there. When we're talking of general consensus, what I mean is when people consume news without even a discussion, without thinking, what becomes their assumptions or presumptions? That's what I'm talking about. How does it become to that? So we will South Africa boycott. It is that. I'm not here to be announcing how does it come to that. It may be linguistics or how the human operates or perceives. So I'm not in the business of giving harmful information. What I'm saying is it happens. We watch ourselves as we improve our individual selves. This is not a news channel. It's a think tank. It's a motivational channel.
Its own decisions, and we are who we are, and we don't really peddle our role in any shape or form. People or countries respect us for what we are, and they applauded our role in the G20 for the manner in which we ran and managed the G20. So as South Africa, we leave every country to make up its own mind with regard to all that is happening.
Just your last comment on Tanzania. What's happening in Tanzania? Sorry to take your time, Mr. President.
Well, I've appointed former Minister of International Relations, Naledi Pandor, as my envoy. She will be going there to go and find out exactly what the challenges are, and she will come back with a report, and it is upon that we will see what interventions we make. So let's wait and see exactly how that unfolds.
Thank you.
Save for what's happening in the DRC.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, so this is how we get information. And respect to that journalist reporter there for asking those questions. everybody's talked about there. Not necessarily everybody. Those are the issues. That's how it happens. And now we're going to compare him to the CNN lady there.
And you can tell how much President Kagame and President Tshisekedi don't trust each other based on what they said. President Kagame said that if this deal fails, it won't be Rwanda's fault. That these Washington Accords, as they're called, have all the elements necessary to end the war. And then President Tshisekedi, on his part, said that Rwanda can agree to the terms of this deal once and for all. So there's no back and forth about supporting militia groups and essentially reneging what they've agreed on. The two men barely looked at each other. I was watching their body language, and they barely shook hands, barely looked at each other. That's how much mistrust there is between these two men.
That is very clear from what I saw as well. There's a lack of...
All right. So we see that video there. What I noticed there is only Felix Tshisekedi is the one who is tense. Why is he tense? I don't know why he's tense. Like, as an adult people, anyway, with people, wherever we are when you are hosted by somebody, there's a certain behavior you should not do in somebody else's house. How you handle yourself. You may just acknowledge, say, no, I don't want to shake hands with you, but how are you? But that tension. So I see Felix Tshisekedi, I'm actually disturbed. What is he going through? Even just this still image. Any image is whatever it is, no matter the resolution that I am broadcasting on. So I've been doing this for a very long time. Interferences by the murderers next door, their methods of operandi, including robbing me, physical things, my time, my etc, nagging, and all type of harassment, torture, interrogation, interruption, the things that cannot happen to a human being and they remain a human being. It can only be for a purpose. And it's between God and me. Because I'm not in the life to be working and investing to have Judas is existing and whatever the nonsense, things like that. So that is between me and God.
Yeah, which then begs the question, Larry. I mean, how far-fetched is this deal? I mean, how tangible, let me put it this way, is peace?
How she's presenting the video, the CNN, our perception, our understand information, our language, linguistics, what means to who, the entire story, what is happening. We as individual Africans, we are third world, but we have more mental freedom. Let us not just undermine ourselves. You may undermine yourself because you think I've not experienced this. What you see and you notice and you learn from anything, it is that which is there to learn. Beginning of story. We are not the tail where they head. And yes, gone are the days where we head in perpetrating evil. Basically, we kicked out an entire civilization. We don't even know what colonization means, imperialism means. But we have a history to tell us what was happening. We have records to tell us what is happening.
Washington Accord, as they're called, will not end the conflict in eastern DRC. Just this week, 2 days ago, both sides accused each other of sabotaging this deal because there was fighting continuing in 3 parts of the eastern DRC. The Congolese military says they came under attack.
Anywhere where there's 2 different people, maybe whether it's your wife or your own children, there will always be a difference. Same principle, not necessarily same principles. We overlook that when we are now in politics or in war. When we have a difference, we should not hate each other if we're not agreeing on anything. Why are we not agreeing? There's some situations where we would find there's that one person who is always the unreasonable one. How good operates the always unreasonable one will never be at a leverage position. It is impossible. According to justice or righteousness.
Back from the M23, and the M23 in a separate statement said that they'd been attacked by the Wazalendo, which is a militia group allegedly backed by the Congolese government. And so even while this deal is going on, there's no actual peace on the ground. And I was in Goma in September, and I spoke to the leader of the M23 rebel group, Kone Nanga, and he said they're not a party to this. They wish President Trump all the best, but they don't trust President.
In Africa, the only part where we wish Donald Trump all the best. We are in it. Come and talk to us. It's a war. It's a war in Africa. Can we have a war where people know all the information? Me, if I was a warlord, I would go even to Goma and be a warlord there. Or anybody. That's how it is. So we speak on this. And yes, we ask for God's help in it. And we are seeing a victory.
Tshisekedi, that he is a crook. He used that word, crook. And he's gone back on every deal he signed before. Their intention is to go to Kinshasa and to overthrow him.
There is another element to this, Larry, and President Trump, we played that little clip there.
Now their agenda is to go to Kinshasa and overthrow him. The moment you say to go to Kinshasa and remove him as a president, it doesn't. It sounds acceptable. I'm not saying it's acceptable or not. It's just linguistics, general linguistics. We are people who analyze things on social media. No, I mean, me, I'm not that. Me, I can even guess and always get the correct answer. I'm privileged. I'm privileged in that. It's between me and myself. Generally, interesting things we're seeing happening. Especially that we're seeing a resolution here. What's next? What's next is we can say what's next. Yes. We can say what's next as we are dealing with Tanzania, ladies and gentlemen. That is real victory. That is real victory. That is victory. I can drop the mic here.
Touched on that, and that is economic, right? The US is seeing this, using this as an opportunity to access critical minerals, of which, of course, the US relies heavily from China. Speak to that.
The US is ahead. The US is going to trade with the country. And they're saying we're coming there. Your minerals are at the wrong position. Let us clean it up there, as we always do, and build roads there, and even end a war there. Yes, sir. And they are ahead of the Zimbabweans. We are not getting minerals there. We should be getting the minerals there, and maybe I should be mining cobalt from Kenya there.
Nature here.
That is a criticism in the DRC and in parts of Africa, that the US is not a clear arbiter in this, that it's interested in the...
Yes, Big up America. In the United States of America, we stand in God we trust.
Rare earths, and President Trump said that they have signed separate bilateral agreements with both Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo to access the critical minerals and the rare earths that exist in this region, this mineral-rich region.
So, ladies and gentlemen, interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, so we are not creating content in Africa, we're just making those videos. Anyways, we are going to be creating content, yes, in Africa and the world over, ladies and gentlemen. And the video, what does it take to be able to do that? Yo, Paul Kagame, the guy even fights in a war in Uganda. 94, Hutu and Tutsi, a genocide, a people against a people, ladies and gentlemen. This is great. Trump is not a politics guy. Trump is a guy who is so rich that politics actually gives him losses, makes him okay losses. But he is such a great businessman that he cannot do that and being carrying losses actually. That's the type of person who he is. From a long time, he's running the apprenticeship. Before we even see Shark Tank. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, sir. That is Donald Trump there. So, Donald Trump is not there to be liked or hated. Donald Trump cannot be hated. Obviously, there are people who hate people who are rich. Not consciously, obviously. Subconsciously, it happens. Like who doesn't like Trump? Like Trump is an easygoing character. He's a likable character. He's a person. Just his presence. Same applies to Paul Kagame. Is a likable character. William Ruto. Just a likable character of a person. And yes, we exist at a time where people maybe cannot like people. Things like that. Me, I come here and I say down with Mnangagwa, but I don't hate him. All right, so we're seeing this exchange here. That is Tshisekedi and Kagame exchanging documents direct. So the video we see, there's that tension. There's the one where the lady takes and does the exchanging of the papers, but here we're seeing they're exchanging between themselves. Maybe the video just changed there. I don't watch my videos before making broadcasts. Our perceptions actually shape reality. Donald Trump is reserved. He is, yeah, that's humble. He's understanding I'm around these people who are dealing with an actual war. He's not like expressionless, but we can read the expressions. When I'm looking at the expressions, I look at all the facts. Is the expression that I'm seeing on the person the expression they are making? Maybe I'm seeing a projection of my own person. Is the expression of them? And then I'm a filmmaker, so I understand things like that. All those factors. That's why I when I began making this analysis, I said my perspective. So I'm noticing that, and yes, when we are dealing with each other after the tense situation, the guys could have met. Of course, they don't trust each other. I think you can meet me, but they cannot meet each other. Rest in peace, General Chongoga. They cannot. But we see it's not going to Rwanda. Anytime we see Sadak is there. I don't know. I've never been to Rwanda, but I've been in Rwanda also. Okay, I'm going to continue anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, sir. We'll make another video on this one and we speak on the G20. Remember, 5 December 2025. Whoever you're watching us from Africa, all over the world, this is a global story. And yes, sir, this is an end of a war, a moment in history we're witnessing right now, in our days. This is a victory. We don't want war. Dr. Clarence, under the state of the kingdom of heaven, I'm out. Coming down, coming down. The glory of the Lord is coming down.